school.
They cancel classes for
Remodel?
yep for those 4 days.
Just like his mom takes after you, right?
Online education.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for attending the Bloomington School Board meeting. Today is Monday, February 11th. All board members are in attendance. Please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Would someone like to move approval of our agenda?
So moved. Second.
Thank you. All in favor, I guess. Yeah, forgot that.
Aye.
Okay. Aye. All right, we'll start with recognition of students, staff, and public. And this evening, before I say that, I would like to say that there will be a rescheduled closed session upon the conclusion of tonight's school board meeting. The meeting will be closed as permitted by section 13D.03 to discuss the district's labor negotiation strategy related to the district's negotiations with all the bargaining groups. All right, that brings us to recognition of students, staff, and public. Oak Grove Middle School Young Women's Leadership Forum. I'd like to invite the middle school teachers, Allison Linman and Jenny Berglund, to say a few words about the project, please.
Good evening. Hi, thanks for having us, you guys. So I'm Jenny Berglund. I started the Young Women's Leadership Forum in 2004. It was my third year teaching, and I noticed that students had a lot of power with each other, and as a brand new teacher, I felt like I had none. So I wanted to figure out how to harness that and really take advantage of the kids who I felt like were great leaders among the community. And so I had this idea that I floated by Brian Ingeman, and he bit and kind of just let me run with it and do my thing. So I started the YWLF, or the Young Women's Leadership Forum, and it's really developed into a group of 6th, 7th, and 8th grade girls. They have to apply to be in every single year. Some apply all 3 years, some apply once and feel like it was maybe wasn't a good fit for them, and that's okay too. But we confront bullying, we confront relational aggression among girls. We do a lot of work within our school community. We do some things in the Bloomington community, and then we always pick a global aspect to focus on each year. So we are very aware of community and global needs. We select fundraisers to support community service projects, and we really just let media and culture and current events lead our discussion, which has become pretty fascinating in a safe space. We have 42 girls this year. That's the most we've ever had. And we have one with us today. Madigan Ryan is an 8th grader who joined Young Women's Leadership this year.
So as Jenny mentioned, we have about 42 girls, and so every year that they have to apply, even if they've been in it 7th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade, and they fill out a Google form, an application, and some of the criteria we have are no tardies, good grades, teacher recommendations, and we really take everything into account because what our goal is to take leaders and make them a part of our community. And so that's become the criteria to be a part of YWLF.
What's really exciting is for the last 2 years, a group of former Oak Grove leaders have gone on to Kennedy and started their own group. Allie, you're probably familiar. They call themselves Women of the Future, and it was completely organic. They started it themselves. They have 30 members this year, and which that's just beyond what I ever could have dreamed would happen. So,
And they have a fundraiser tomorrow night for Chipotle from 4 to 8 p.m. So they do a lot of their own fundraising then for them to do activities like the We Day that we are actually going, the forum that we're going to participate in next Wednesday down at Fitzgerald Theater in St. Paul.
So there's a picture of some of our girls. We get different t-shirts every year that are designed by the girls with something powerful on it.
some of the fundraisers and community outreach. You may recognize the Heritage Days Parade. Every time there's an opportunity for our girls to participate, we try and get as many volunteers. We are also going to be taking part in the Book Fest. They have come to talk to us about getting our girls to volunteer at the Book Fest that's coming up. And just various activities, Feed My Starving Children. We just are finishing up our Pennies for Patients campaign, where we do different fundraisers to help raise money for kids with cancer.
So our biggest endeavor as of late is our bathroom remodel. And I sent out a bunch of pictures to the entire staff a while ago, just because I really wanted other buildings to either bite on the idea and maybe do something in their own buildings, or just to know some of the cool things that we were doing in our buildings. So we have a para here who has one of the vinyl cutting machines. She's volunteered her time. We just reimburse her for the materials. Basically, all I did is I made a spreadsheet with 5 tabs, 3 bathrooms, a locker room, and a hallway. And I just assigned a chunk of girls to each one of those areas. And I said, just go. This is your vision board. Figure out what you want to put in it. So now it's become a reality. So the music bathroom is full of quotes from strong female musicians. The locker room has this beautiful quote from Serena Williams right when you walk in. It's just really was their project. We were just the logistics. So we're really, really proud of that project.
So the slideshow here has various pictures of the decals that were put on. Deblingen actually did many of them herself over the summer. But then we also had, once she got the decals cut out, there were a couple different afternoons that the girls stayed after school to help put the decals up on the walls and the stalls. So that's the second floor upstairs where the classrooms are.
Now, are these just the girls' bathrooms?
Yeah. We have a young men's leadership chapter and we've gotten that question a lot. What about the boys' bathrooms? And I've invited them to do their own bathrooms. We can only do so much, and we feel like we've really tackled the female area as well. This is the locker room. These are some of my favorites. So if you do cruise through and ever see these, because it's a middle school, a lot of them have been picked at. So we are working on some different solutions to try and get them up and sealed and something a little bit more permanent. So some of them don't look as beautiful as they did when they started, but they still look pretty awesome. So these are our ramps. We put down some different quotes on our ramps. Are they still there?
No, we took them off right
Oh, yeah,
before
that's
winter
right.
break.
We're
so
gonna
they
put
could,
new ones on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so this together with student council, they took 2 different ramps and we just came up with different quotes and sayings that the girls just, we printed them off and then they went through and taped them all down onto the ramps for kids to walk up and down and read as they go. And yeah, the goal was through the winter months, they would be, we'll wait until kind of the salt and snow melt away and we'll hit it back in the spring, so. I think that's it.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah.
Okay. So Madigan, I just wanted to invite Madigan to talk about why she joined and how she's benefited from YWLF.
Well, hi. Hi, I'm Madigan. I'm in 8th grade. This year is my first year in Young Women's Leadership, and I regret not signing up in 6th and 7th grade. Some of the reasons I joined are a lot of my friends invited me doing it, and I wanted to be in a prime time with more of my friends, and I wanted to have the choice of being in it, and I wanted to have the opportunity of helping the community and helping a global cause and that sort of thing.
Whenever we need a volunteer for anything, Madigan she's just such a go-getter. So it's been really rewarding.
Yeah, we meet every morning for prime time, which is really only about 15 minutes total, and sometimes only about 7 or 8 minutes after announcements, and we get going. So oftentimes we may address something and then it carries out through the week, just depending on how much time we have. But many of the activities that we do have to be planned either before school, after school, or different times of the day, because we are only together for that short period of time. But
One of the successes we've seen too, or that we know we're being successful, is girls will email us things on the weekend or that they see in the media or happening in the world. Can we talk about this on Monday? Or they'll send us a link, which I think to me is really important, that they're learning how to be critical thinkers and they're learning how to, be global citizens and savvy when it comes to digesting media. So that's pretty cool. Thanks, you guys. Thanks for having us.
Any questions?
any questions?
Madigan, thanks for coming. What's the one thing that you like the best about this particular group?
I just like being around my friends for a certain time of the day, because in some of my classes I don't have any of my friends in them, and so I like being able to see them specifically at one point of the day.
Have you seen maybe any of their behaviors change since they started the school year and they've gotten involved in this group?
Maybe a little bit. Me and a few of my friends joined all together, and so there's a few new people in our group this year. But I think everyone's a little more positive in the group because they're with other people.
Like-minded, yeah.
Go ahead, Haley.
I just want to thank you guys for everything that you've done to drill this into these young girls' heads, to this self-love and this positivity and women empowerment. It's so important, especially when media and society is trying to push us down. You guys are here to raise us up. And I went into those bathrooms. I didn't know it was there, and I just felt this positivity that wasn't there when I was there. And that's amazing. In a bathroom, to see, to feel happy when you go into a middle school bathroom.
Right.
It was awesome, and you guys deserve the world. You too, Madigan.
Thanks, Allie. We've had women of all ages say that when they've seen pictures, or if I would have had that in my locker room when I was 13. It doesn't take much, so thanks, Allie.
My bathroom at home.
Yes.
Talked about that organically. This took on a life of its own, and there's a similar class at Kennedy. Do you know if there are any similar classes like at our other middle schools or? At
There's
Jefferson?
not, but I've sure shared with both buildings that I would be happy to help anybody start this from the ground up, because I did just through a lot of trial and error. So I don't believe so yet, but it sure be awesome.
That'd be great, because that's something that we really need, is more women in leadership. And we look at we're lucky, this political body where the majority is women, but when we look like a Congress, what is it, 25% are women?
Right.
And that's 50% of the population, so that's a huge underrepresentation. So empowering women to be future leaders, to maybe run for office, are great things.
Right.
So thanks a lot for all the work you guys are doing over there.
You bet. My pleasure.
Thanks, Tom.
No? Go ahead.
I think it's really good that you're encouraging them with options of how to deal with the media, how to deal with the messages out there, as well as, coming against the bullying. There's a lot of bullying between girls, and coming with positive ways to work out relationships. We had a student advisory council meeting where they were talking about, we just don't know what to do, what do we do? And I think that that was not at this middle school, but another one. And so I know it's something that the students were actually begging for. And I think you're doing a great service by doing that.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Well, thank you very
Thanks,
much
you
for
guys.
all you
Thank
do. All right, it brings us the Career and Technical Education Month proclamation. Would someone like to read the resolution?
Let's see. Madam Chair? Be resolved, the School Board of Independent School District 271 approves the attached proclamation proclaiming February 2019 as Career and Tech Education Month in the Bloomington Public Schools.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. I'll read the proclamation, and then we'll vote, and then we will hear from Debbie Belfry. Whereas February 2019 has been designated Career and Technical Education Month by the Association for Career and Technical Education, Minnesota Association of Career and Technical Education, and Governor Tim Walz. And whereas profound economic and technological changes in our society are rapidly reflected in the structure and nature of work, thereby placing new and additional responsibilities on our educational system. And whereas career and technical education provides students with college and career readiness and is the backbone of a strong, well-educated workforce, which fosters productivity in business and industry and contributes to America's leadership in the international marketplace. And whereas career and technical education gives students experience in practical applications and technical preparation and provides the integration of technical and academic content, thus improving the quality of their education and affords students leadership opportunities in their schools and their communities. And whereas career and technical, career and technical education offers individuals lifelong opportunities to learn new skills validated by technical skill assessment and certifications, which provide them with expanded career choices. And whereas the ever-increasing cooperative efforts between career and technical educators at the secondary and post-secondary levels, along with business and industry partners, stimulate the growth and vitality of our local economy and that of the entire nation by preparing graduates for career fields forecast to experience the largest and fastest growth in the next decade. Now therefore, we members of the Bloomington School Board proclaim February 2019 be observed as Career and Technical Education Month in the Bloomington Public Schools. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of this resolution, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And Debbie Belfry, our Career Development Coordinator, is here to receive the proclamation and say a few words. Thank you, Debbie.
Thank you, Chair Bartolotta, and school board members and Superintendent Fujitaki. Our career and technical education programs include courses in our technology education, business and marketing education, family consumer sciences, and work-based learning programs. During the 2017-2018 school year, 1,756 students, which is an unduplicated count, participated in CTE courses in the district at Jefferson and Kennedy. Many students took more than one course in multiple program areas, and that brought the count to 3,168 students who chose to take a career technical education course at the high school level. Of those students, 738 students successfully completed 240 hours in a concentrated career cluster as defined by the federal career cluster categories. Our middle school students also take career technical education in family consumer sciences and technology education, and all of them participate at that level. Our CTE programs work closely with our business and industry partners, and those partners also help provide opportunities for our students to integrate their skills along with their academics to become career and college ready. Tonight, we're recognizing, as we recognize Genesis Works as a friend of the Bloomington schools, we'll hear about one of those successful career technical education program highlights. Thank you very much for the proclamation to again recognize these students.
And Andy Kubis is taken to the podium there, and he will do an overview of the career and college readiness and introduce his friends. Thank you.
Chair Bartolotta, Superintendent Fujitaki, school board members, and viewing public. We're excited here to honor our good partner Genesis Works. We've got a host of people here with you. It's going to be a dazzling show. And so just to introduce, we've got Karen Marbin here, who's the Genesis Works Executive Director. Julie Vo, who's a Senior Program Coordinator. Jade Denson. Is Jade with us tonight? No? Okay. Janelle Akins from Toro. Michaela Robertson's here. Allie Starks is going to say a few words. Dan Gasner to my right, and I'm Andy Kubis. And so we're excited about our partnerships. We know that, as the saying goes, it takes a village. And so it takes a lot of partnerships to put our kids on the right pathways as we move forward, and we're excited to honor this group. I wanted to spend just a couple minutes giving you some background about what our vision is in Bloomington, and then segue that over to the work that Genesis Works does with us in the partnership theme. So we all know that this is what drives us making sure that all students have a pathway to career in college. And so a couple weeks ago, John Weiser was here, and he talked to you about how we make those pathways and how it's important that there's different pathways for different kids so that they can meet their goals and their needs as they blossom into their career or college. And so John did a great job of explaining that. I wanted to touch a little more on that and go maybe one step further. So John's question ultimately was, how are we creating pathways? And that's an important question. I wanted to build on that and say, how are we creating pathways, and how are we teaching students to navigate these pathways? There are so many pathways that we offer students. Director Storm and I were just talking about that before the meeting, that helping kids to navigate those pathways is very important. Probably showing my vintage a little bit, but I didn't have many pathways when I was going through. I got on a track, and I was on the track of where I was going. What's amazing about what we're building here in Bloomington and what we've built, there are lots of different ways to go, and it's our job to help students figure out that what you chose maybe as a 14-year-old, let's help you navigate through the system so that you can, if you choose something else, we can get you on that right track with different people to help you out. Remember the old Rand McNally Atlas that we kept in our car? Our 9-year-old found ours in the fall. He said, "What is this?" But remember those days when, if you were going, in this case, to Chicago, if you're anything like me, I felt like I was a right-seater in the 747. I planned my route, and I knew exactly how we were going to get to the Shed Aquarium, and we didn't deviate. It didn't matter what the road was doing. You just didn't dare make a right turn. You just went straight. And so these were the days of navigation, if you will. Nowadays, most people have one of these things. And so, we certainly have an upgrade, and there's 2 apps on my phone as the theme is navigating, helping students navigate. On the left is the generic Maps application that comes with every phone, and on the right is Waze. And so I want to talk a little bit about the difference there and then draw some inferences around how we're helping students navigate. So the Maps one that comes with everyone's iPhone, if you're an iPhone user, is pretty simplistic. It's much better than Rand McNally Atlas that we saw. But just as a quick snapshot here, sometime last week, I just plugged into my phone Mall of America, and this is what came up. It's going to take me it would have taken me 12 minutes to get there, and it gave me one way to get there. And so if I wasn't from Bloomington, if I was out of town visiting, this is the way that I would go. But I appreciate there's a couple bells and whistles here. It's telling me how far it is, and it's telling me how long it's going to take me to get there. Again, certainly an upgrade from the Rand McNally Atlas that we carried around. Much more beneficial, perhaps, is the Waze app. And so the way the Waze app works is, it is what I would call a continuous improvement process, that the people who are in front of you, who go in front of you, give you feedback about what you're going to encounter as you get going. So you see here, this is just a screenshot of a Waze app. It's not to the Mall of America, but this particular person wants to stay on Chestnut and go to their destination. But as you see in the red up there, there's some problems. There's an accident up there. There's someone who's angry up there. I see an angry emoji up there. To your left, there's a police officer. And so the way that the Waze app works is the passenger, hopefully the passenger, in the car in front of you, signs into the app and tells you, people behind you, here's what's happening. You need to go right and go around on Steenland. Don't try to go through Chestnut. It's going to take too long. And if you think about that from our student standpoint, this is what we need for our kids. And so you might get to the red part. Your GPA wasn't what you thought it was going to be. We need to take a right turn here. We need to change our navigation. Or, perhaps better, your GPA, you blew it out of the water. And this is amazing. And let's take a right turn here because there's more to see if we go down Steenland. And so we want to make sure that that's the things that we're teaching our kids, that you're not stuck on a certain track necessarily, that we are going to help you navigate through this journey to your career in college, just like the Waze app does on our phones. And so that's an important part. We don't teach our kids not to cross the street. We teach them how to cross the street. And so that's an important thing that we need to do. Just tonight, we've got our 7th grader at home as my wife is at conferences. We don't tell him, stay in your room and don't come out. We help him navigate what it means to be at home. And so we should do the same thing with our kids. Much better application as we teach our kids to work through systems. The tool for that, as you know, will be our PGP and is our PGP. And so that tool will be the great interface piece between the adults and the students in our school system. We'll be able to see the different things that can happen, the alerts and the flags that can happen, but also helping the student understand here's how you navigate through these pathways to be successful. Our partners help bring this vision to life. We couldn't do it without our partners. But I'm a firm believer that partnerships are stronger when they're reciprocal. And so we have GenesisWorks with us here with a really impressive presentation on what they're doing. And so in many ways, we benefit that. Our community benefits from the work that they do. But like I said, good partners are reciprocal. So how can we help out, given that Waze model that I showed you earlier? And we think we can help out with data, helping our partners out by saying, looking at the kids who have gone through, in this case, the GenesisWorks model, figuring out what they've done in the long run, and going back to our partner and saying, here's who's been successful in the program. Here's who really knocked it out of the park. Giving them that data so that they can make better decisions about the program, and in turn, we can make better decisions about who we choose to go in certain programs. Again, it's a continuous improvement model. Using that data to be strong partners so that they get what they need, because they have a mission and a value statement that they need to be successful on, and so do we. And I tell you what, my best friendships are reciprocal ones. And so we endeavor to do that, so that's our promise to you as we go forward. It's the give in the receiving of that information. So without further ado, we're here to celebrate GenesisWorks and welcome them to be a friend of our school district. They do amazing work for us, and I will turn it over to Dan to take over from there.
Thank you, Andy. So for those who don't know me, I'm Dan Gassner, and I'm a business teacher at Kennedy High School, and I'm also the intern work coordinator. And when I think of this program, first of all, team comes to my mind right away. It takes a team, and this year we've seen some great things with team, and even our Career Resource Center has been one of those really nice teams that's jumped in the past. So a few things that I wanted to bring to you, I guess, was some data. And so the data that I've brought here is I've been a partnership as being the coordinator for the last 8 years. So we did a little research, and what this shows here is the number of kids who have been involved in this GenesisWorks program. And we're going to share some exciting information that's happening this year. Right now, so over the last 8 years, we've had 22 students who have been involved. So this little bar just shows you how many were involved each of the years. So you can kind of see that it's been averaging about 3 students a year that have been involved. This is the partnerships that we've been in, and like I say, you'll hear a little more about the actual program in just a minute. But these are some of the local businesses and businesses who have been involved in this program. So you can see that there's some very, very successful businesses that these students have been working at. I wanted to share a success story of a past student so you guys get a chance to hear him a little bit. This is a story of Haley Coller, and she was a student in my class and ended up in graduating from Kennedy in 2012, and she interned at Regis Corporation. And after that, she attended Gustavus Adolphus and graduated in 4 years at 2016 with a major in accounting and political science. And now she's been hired as a strategic analyst at Goldman Sachs in New York. So you can see that that accounting ability and everything is built, and her confidence just escalated when it really started with this GenesisWorks program. She is now also the member of the board of directors for the GenesisWorks program, which, did that just start correctly?
Just starting up.
In New York. So she's not only taken what she's learned from that, but been a very involved member of that program there too. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn this over to Karen here, and she's going to share a little bit more about GenesisWorks with you.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Andy. Good evening, members of the school board, Superintendent Fujitaki, Madam Chair. So we're thrilled that GenesisWorks is a friend of Bloomington Public Schools and to be highlighted tonight. I'll tell you a little bit about what we do and the way that we do our work. We're a nonprofit organization. We actually started in Houston, Texas back in 2002, but we started here in the Twin Cities in 2008. And so for the past 11 years, we have served students coming from low-income backgrounds and trying to open doors to new career pathways. So that's kind of a common theme that we're hearing about what's going on
here in the Bloomington School District. So we love the work that you're doing, talking about career pathways, and it's a great fit and partnership for us. So our mission is indeed to provide pathways to career success for high school students that are in low-income or underserved communities through skills training, meaningful work experiences, the internship, and impactful relationships. So if we do our jobs correctly, we envision a future where all youth finish high school with the skills and knowledge to be able to succeed in their careers and ultimately achieve economic self-sufficiency. So that is when our work will be done. So we'll go and show you a little bit about how the program works. If you advance the slide, great. So we have 3 students, as Dan and Andy talked about, that are in the current program. So these are 3 high school seniors right now, Kimmy, Michaela, and Eric. It just so happens that I was out at Optum in Eden Prairie earlier today for a presentation where Eric was presenting to Optum IT executives about the work that he is doing, and it was impressive, truly impressive. And I am thrilled that next to me is Michaela Robertson, and she's going to tell you a little bit about her experience in the Genesis Works program. So Michaela, I would like for you to share what's been your experience so far.
Hi. My experience, it's been really good. I feel like I've gained a lot of professional skills through Genesis Works. When I graduate from college, I feel like my resume is just gonna be like fantastic. I'm gonna be like have a leg up on people basically, and it's been a really good experience. I appreciate that Genesis Works also gives us college help, so they give me a lot of deadlines for like my FAFSA, and they like recommend scholarships that I should apply to, and it just helps me keep on track. It's definitely made the college application process a lot easier. I feel like I've gained a lot of networking skills. A person at Genesis Works told me it's not necessarily about what you know, but it's who you know to get like new jobs. So I think that's a really helpful skill that I've learned not only through Genesis Works, but also in my internship, talking to different application teams and people, just higher up people, I guess. I've also learned a lot of like code switching skills. I've learned that the way that you talk to like an executive at a company is not the way that you talk to your friends in high school. That's definitely been helpful. And it's given me more confidence to talk to adults because I've been very, very quiet all of my life, but I feel like I can hold a professional conversation now. Definitely learned lots of like email skills and Excel, like basic stuff that I need to know to help me succeed in my career, whatever I decide that is in the future.
So Michaela, tell us about what you're doing during your internship at Cargill. What kind of job?
I do a lot. Basically, right now I'm working a lot on building forms. I don't really know how to explain it in like simpler terms, but I'm switching forms from one like software to another one and working a lot with like my supervisor and a lot of new like people to like help get their enhancements on their forms, if that makes sense. I don't know if that really makes sense, but I lead a lot of meetings. I've done a lot of informational interviews to learn about different IT positions and stuff, which has been really interesting. Yeah, do a lot of teamwork with the other interns. It's really interesting.
Awesome. Thanks, Michaela. And I know that Allie spoke to Kimmy, another one of our interns. So Allie, can you maybe share what Kimmy shared with you about her participation in the program?
Yeah, so I met with Kimmy on Friday during school, and she interns at Medica in Minnetonka. And I know Kimmy from Homecoming Court, and she has initiative and she has passion and her energy is just unmatched. And she actually talked to my history class about Genesis Works, and that was the first time I've heard of them. And I was piqued. Like, it was super cool, and her presentation was amazing. And so she's a technical analyst working in information risk and management at Medica. And she works anywhere from 12 p.m., so noon, to 5. And so she told me that she's learned countless professional skills, like interviewing, working on a resume, and working in a professional environment. And she also learned the technical skills that are necessary for like the technological aspect of our modern job economy. And she's just learned these things through experience and also through the executives at Medica and also the people working at Genesis Works. She's also created connections throughout the company. So like Michaela was talking about, she knows people, and the people that she knows are going to help her in her search for colleges and her search for jobs. And she feels way more prepared for her future. And this program has taught her these skills that she said will put her ahead of others when applying for jobs. So she really feels that leg up. She feels that confidence when it comes to applying for things.
Awesome. Thanks, Allie. So let's talk about how we prepared 3 of the Kennedy High School students to be able to take a year-long paid internship at some of these really big companies. During the 8 weeks that happened between the students' junior and senior years of high school, so they're giving up their last summer of high school, they join us for 8 weeks for really intensive, almost boot camp style training. During those 8 weeks, we train them in professional skills, a lot of public speaking, building up confidence, how to do a professional handshake, those kind of things, as well as exposure to technical skills. And so we give them a wide exposure to the types of technology thinking and projects that they might be working on during their internship. At the end of that internship, at the end of the summer training, then they're prepared to succeed in their internship. And as Michaela said, they do work really closely with their teams that help with mentoring and ongoing professional development. Also, during the year, we place them in the internship after summer training in major companies. And we have with us Janelle from Toro, who is a long-term Genesis Works partner. Like Kennedy on the school side, we have corporate partners where they agree to host our students. So most of the students work afternoon, 20 hours a week. Typically, they go to school in the morning and they'll work 1 to 5 or 12:30 to 4:30. And it's intense. And during this time, they're earning about $13,000. So it really helps their family income. It helps them start to save for college. But I want to turn it over to Janelle from Toro because she's been a long time awesome supervisor, and she can talk about some of the students that she's had over the years.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a great pleasure working with Genesis Works and watching the interns come through Toro and just watching their growth from the first day they walk in to the day that they leave. And, they end their internship presenting to our IT executives. And, that's no small feat because there are a lot of employees I know that would be up there shaking, and you've got these high school interns that are they're so professional and they're not afraid to talk to them, and they just really love talking about what they've done, what they've learned, and for me personally, just their growth throughout the internship is just wonderful. And then we navigate not just teaching them, but there's that work-life family balance, because often they might have other things going on. So we also get the opportunity to help them through all of that, anything that anybody in a professional environment, may run into. So there are other skills outside of that and the work, but I will tell you, more often than not, my interns will go out and work with customers, and I'll get this great feedback, and I'm like, yeah, they're one of our high school interns, and they're like, what? I'm like, yeah, and they all assume they're either in college and they're like, gosh, they're so professional. They know so much. It was just great. So it's been wonderful. Genesis Works does a great job prepping them to start their internship every year.
Thanks, Janelle. We're really pleased to be partnered with Toro. And then lastly, one of the other components of Genesis Works is the college support, college access, and then college persistence support. And to tell you a little bit more about that, I'd like to introduce a wonderful colleague of mine, Julie Vo. Julie was actually a Genesis Works student a few years ago. She's a graduate of Richfield High School, and when she was going to Richfield High, she joined Genesis Works, went through the program, went on to college, got her 4-year degree, worked a couple of years, and then came back, and now she's on our staff as a senior program coordinator with her own cohort of 22 students. She's awesome, and college support is part of what she does, so Julie, take it away.
Yeah, Karen, thanks for that intro. So in addition to summer training and the year-long internship that students students go through, we as program coordinators also have the opportunity to work with students one-on-one and help them through the college process. So a lot of our students do come from first-generation families, and a lot of times, even for me personally, I didn't have someone at home to walk me through the application process, what financial aid looks like. So I really used my program coordinator to walk me through that process. So now, as a program coordinator myself, it's such a privilege to walk students through, okay, this is what Augsburg's application looks like, here's what the U is, here is how you apply for financial aid, here are some key deadlines. So really connecting students to key resources, to deadlines, and just really helping students make informed decisions as they're thinking about their college and career path. And you know, the unique thing about Genesis Works is 100% of our students do get accepted into college just by going through our process.
Thanks, Julie. And one fun fact is Julie is actually helping out with the recruitment here at Kennedy High School for next year. Dan's been instrumental in helping us navigate some weather challenges and rescheduling options and things like that. But we have kind of a lofty goal for Kennedy for next year. So Julie, how are we sitting?
Yeah, so our goal this year is to have 35 students apply for our program. As of last week, I believe, we have 38 applications.
Great.
Yep.
So we can't wait to welcome them into summer training here in June. So lastly, as we wrap up, I just want to say that we are looking for additional juniors here at Kennedy High School to join us this summer to learn about how to be a professional here in the Twin Cities companies. And to me, it's really a moral imperative that we have. The Twin Cities has one of the worst gaps between earnings of white people and people of color. And we really see at Genesis Works, we're starting to close that gap in a meaningful way. And the way that we do that is open doors to students. They choose to come through the doors. They choose, like Kimmy and Michaela, they choose to do the hard work. And ultimately, we think they're going to have really bright futures. So with that, we're really grateful for the partnership and being a friend to Bloomington schools. And we'll stand for any questions if you have any.
That's great. Sure, so 38 apply. How many make it through the 8-week summer training and then have a job, a position with a major company?
So I'll take it. So the biggest drop-off from the 38 who apply will be those that show up for an interview. And so between the time that they're applying now and showing up for an interview in March, we'll have a lot of students sort of opt out and say, maybe this isn't for me. So we're trying to do some additional touches to make sure that they know what the program is and get them in touch with awesome interns so that they can hear more about that. But of the students who start summer training, 80% of them, between 80 and 83% of them will finish summer training and earn the internship. The majority of the 17 to 20% who do not finish summer training they're opting out. So they join summer training and they're like, whoa, this is way more in depth than I thought it would be. And so it's self-selection out. But we do have a pretty rigorous expectation for summer training just so that we can prepare them for the internship.
Just so you know, too, the last few years, we were seeing that drop-off from the application to the interviews. So like last year, what we did is we actually had the interviews here at the chamber over on Lindale Avenue and had it there. So we're also looking for a place that might be a little more feasible for the kids to get there just for that beginning initial process. Because I think the logistics of trying to get, and last year we still had, I think 12, and it was one of those terrible snow days that it happened on and stuff, but still some of the kids, they got there, to apply.
And who does the interviewing?
Most of it is the Genesis Works staff, and then we have volunteers as well, but most of it is our staff.
Not necessarily any businesses.
Some of the volunteers are from our corporate partners, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Michaela, do you have your summer training coming up? Or
She already did hers.
You already did yours.
Yeah.
So what can you share to the students that I'm sure there's thousands that are watching us right now? What can you share to those students to assuage their fears? It's not as bad as it really could be, and you can get through it, take it a day at a time, take it from there.
I definitely say don't be too intimidated because they set the bar really high for your, like, how professional you have to be. and I know that can seem really intimidating at first, but it's really not that bad. I just feel like you need to be really motivated, and like you have to want it. And if you do, then you'll make it through summer training, like no problem. But you just have to be really motivated for it. They play a lot of games over summer training, which is really fun. And you're in a cohort with like some of your peers, like 15, 20 of your peers, and it's just really fun to like get to know them. You make friendships over the summer, so like not only are you working and like gaining skills, but you're also like building relationships, so it's a fun experience.
I always think it's kind of like a learning process, just like when everyone heads to college and they're all freshmen and they're standing there wide-eyed and, you know, all nervous and all that kind of thing. So I think a lot of the kids start to meet friends and start to build that confidence along the way too.
It'd be a good time to take names, keep those contacts through your college careers. Excuse me.
I just have one more question. We're so grateful that Genesis is a particular partner to do this sort of stuff. But a lot of our students go to want various other internships and maybe don't have the scheduling or capability of doing it that way. But I mean, through your network, there must be businesses out there that says, yeah, come on in and learn this particular aspect for 3 months or something like that. Right.
Yeah, I mean, so that Dan would have, I'm sure, other partnerships for students that maybe can't do the 20 hours a week, right? That might want to just dip their toe into something else. We really have been fortunate because we work with 58 different corporate partners like Toro, where they're hosting our students. So this year we actually placed 292 high school seniors into internships within those 58 corporate partners. Wow. And so we still have ample room to grow, even with our focus of business and technology. But you're absolutely right, there's a whole lot of other disciplines out there that might be suited.
And also, we work, you know, all the business teachers, the two at our school, and then Eric Ressler also at Jefferson. We are part of the Bloomington Future Leaders, and so we meet once a month with a group of business people, and Cheryl Martin's there, and we all try to work together, and we're hearing more and more people that are wanting to do that so that we can, you know, because even this program, if you're an athlete or you're in the band, it's, you know, 1 to 5, they can't commit to that, and we don't want to take away from extracurriculars too for kids. So we're always trying to find those other options out there that everyone can get a little piece of something out there as much as we can.
Wonderful.
Okay, any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you
Just
so much.
have, excuse me, one more thing to add some context to the statistics, sorry. So 38 applicants this year. Last year, there were 13. So amazing things happening with this partner. So we thank you. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you. All right, that brings us to our student board reps report. Who would like to go first tonight?
I'll go first.
Okay, Jackson.
All right, I'm Jackson Amagala from Jefferson High School. And since the last meeting, it's only been 2 weeks, so it's mostly just updates on winter sports. Over the weekend, our cheerleading team headed down to Florida for nationals. They placed an outstanding 3rd in the nation on the game day routine and placed 6th in the nation in the competition cheer event. Last year, I think they won 1st place too, and the year after that. So they've done well every year I've been at Jefferson. Also, the Jive and Connection program both got 1st in our divisions. Connection took grand champs overall as well. I also had the pleasure of attending the Jefferson girls hockey section game against Chaska Chan, where we took home the dub 5-1. They'll face Tonka tomorrow at 8 p.m. Matthew Clark qualified for state in Nordic skiing. He will have this next meet on Thursday at Giants Ridge. Best of luck to him. And then Jags Swim and Dive will have their sections meet on February 20th through the 22nd at 6 p.m. Hopefully we can finish this trimester strong. That's all I got. Thank you.
All right, Jackson.
Ellie.
Hi, I'm Ellie Starks, and last week was also a really big week for Kennedy. So both our boys and girls basketball teams beat Richfield on Thursday. Also, huge turnout at the Kennedy's boys hockey battle, the Battle of Bloomington that Jackson didn't mention. Ultimately, the Eagles did take the win, 3-2. Goals by some of my really close friends,
senior Quentin Goldnoff, junior Craig Herman III, and sophomore Joey Workman. Huge turnout, super fun game, a lot of hype around that. Kennedy won. Just didn't know if I made that clear.
Get that. Who won?
The Eagles took the dub. Also, the Kennedy Colleens hosted sections at Kennedy, and though they didn't make state, they still put up a huge fight. Shout out to Kennedy alum Honor Finley for setting a new personal record in the 400 meter with 53.34 seconds, which is, she became the second fastest performer in the race in Kansas University history. So congrats to Honor.
Great.
She also set a lot of records at Kennedy and won state a couple times for us. And I'd like to conclude with our excitement at Kennedy around our Sadies, which is next Saturday, and Spirit Week next week leading up to that dance. So all in all, Kennedy won the Battle of Bloomington at the Ice Garden. Although I do see a hockey player out there in section. Good game. It's hard fought. Kennedy's came out on top.
Yes, I was actually at that game a little bit. My daughter was playing a couple of rinks down, so I had to only pop in a little bit. But do you know how many years consecutively Jefferson's beat Kennedy?
It's only been 4 years.
Has it
Only been 4 years.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay,
We're making a comeback.
Yeah, because I know you're quite proud that they won, but I mean, it's probably because it's been a while.
Thanks for having my back.
It was
There you go. I got
3-2. 3 was the
It was
Kennedy.
a good game.
Yep.
I love the Battle of Bloomington's, the hockey, probably my favorite one. I love the football one too, but I love the hockey.
I like the football one.
The hockey's
the
fun,
hockey
just a
one.
smaller venue, and it's so loud in there, so much energy and passion in the room. It's just a lot of fun. So if you guys haven't gone to the Battle of Bloomington hockey game, I would highly encourage.
Should have
going
gone on
to all that.
Thursday when Kennedy won.
Should have been there. Next year you can go.
All right, moving on. Is there anyone who wishes to address the school board on an item that is not on the agenda? Seeing no one come forward, I would like to make a statement about the requirement of our 12th grade government class to observe a governmental meeting of some sort. Things that you can attend are city council meetings, school board meetings, courtroom proceedings. The Social Studies Curriculum Guide identifies essential standards, one of which is to understand the role and influence of political processes and organizations by examining the role of interest groups, think tanks, the media, and public opinion on the political process and public policy formation. So at this point, I'd like to invite all the students in the audience to come up, state your name and your teacher's name, just so we know that you were here. And we all know you're from Jefferson. You can just go over there. Unless you want to.
You can come speak if you want.
Go ahead.
My name is James Loken. Of course, as you stated, we all go to Thomas Jefferson High School, and my teacher is Mr. Daniel Storleen.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Rachel Geist, and I have Daniel Storleen as well.
Hi, my name is Ben Vinsbergen, and I also have Daniel Storleen as my teacher.
My name is Ben Eisworth, and I also have Mr. Storleen.
I'm Lakeith Henderson, and I also have Sterling.
I'm Makila Butler, and I also have Mr. Storleen.
I'm Amy Blazin, and I also have Mr. Storleen.
I'm Holly Garzon, and I also have Mr. Storleen.
I'm Audra Kelly, and I also have Mr. Storleen.
Hi, I'm Matthew Davis. I have Mr. Storleen.
Thank you all for coming. At the close of this session, or after 1 hour, whichever is shorter, you can ask for a signature on the agendas, which are over there on the counter, from any of our administrative cabinet members who are sitting at the side table. Thank you for coming. All right, that moves us to Part A. Would someone like to make a motion?
So moved.
Second. Thank you. Part A is our board business, personnel action, field trips, contracts. All in favor of Part A, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? None. And that brings us to Part B, results of the Innovation Zone pre-kindergarten program. And I'd like to invite Dave Hystad to come to the table and share with us.
Hello, Chair Barla, Superintendent Fujitaki, Board Directors. This is a brief presentation to update you on the research that's going on this year related to the Innovation Research Zone. The state made available 3 possible winners of Innovation Zone from the metro area and 3 from outstate. Bloomington had the highest points awarded of any district that applied for the Innovation Research Zone, and we were, we were granted Innovation Zone status along with Inver Grove Heights and their partner districts. St. Paul was granted Innovation Zone but decided not to pursue it when they found out there wasn't any additional money that was coming. But we had planned to do this kind of innovative programming anyways, and we'll probably be pursuing funding from foundations, et cetera. But we've got a really good start on 3 areas. Today, I'm going to talk to you about the program at Valley View Elementary, which is really from birth all the way up to grade 5. Having all of the early childhood services nested within the school, and we've had 1 cohort now that has taken the beginning of kindergarten assessment we call the BICA, and so I will take you briefly through the slides, and then we're going to talk about 2 other aspects of Innovation Zone, the EL program evaluation, and the Statway course that's taking place at Kennedy. So this basically was a study to take the students who were in 4-year-old programs at Valley View Elementary and match them with students throughout the city who came to Bloomington. And when you do this kind of matched sample analysis, you try to control for as many factors that teachers can't, control for. The entry status of the students as a special education student, an EL student, whether the students are receiving free or reduced price lunch, gender, girls always do better than boys in preschool and for quite a while thereafter. And a lot of my analysis still showing that the girls are still outperforming the boys in high school. But racial, ethnic categories and home language are also matched so that you have an identical group that were in the program and those that aren't. And so this is kind of the basic bread and butter of doing what's called quasi-experimental research, where you can attribute causation, that if you find a difference at the end of your study, you can say that the program likely caused this, if you've controlled for all the important variables. So in this case, 42 students were matched on all 6 variables, and 5 students were matched on 5 out of 6 variables, so the groups were very similar. The match comparison, students came from other early childhood sites in Bloomington, but also some sites outside of Bloomington, 10 students, and unknown students with unknown or no pre-K background, there were 8 students. This is the demographics of the final group that were compared. About 1/4 of the students were receiving special ed services. About 1/2 of the students were receiving EL services. Almost 3/4 of the students were receiving free or reduced price lunch when they were in 1st grade. 40% boys, 6% Asian, 51% Hispanic, African American 38%, and white between 6 and 8%. So the groups are very similar, and then they're very diverse with home language, with only 45% of the students speaking English as their home language. So this is a group that would be considered to have a lot of risk factors. And so it's really important that these children get a good start in four-year-old programs, and then it'll bode well for them reading well by third grade. So when we look at the BECA, I didn't bring slides of the actual assessment, but our teachers sit one-on-one with students, and they ask about the letters, the letter names, and the letter sounds. They ask about rhyming, hearing the sounds at the end of the word. They talk about sounds at the beginning of the word. We call that alliteration. And then there's some real simple sight words. Kids that know at least one sight word are, kind of on track. But then we do numeracy also. So we ask about counting and, patterns of A, B, A, et cetera. So people that are interested in getting more information about the assessment, I'm glad to come back at another time to really go through what we learned. The cool thing about our Bloomington assessment at beginning of kindergarten is that it predicts first grade reading really well, and it predicts third grade reading. So even as far as 4 years before, it's a good predictor of third grade reading. So when we looked at these two groups, the Valley View Elementary pre-K students had an average score of 60 compared to the other students that were matched had an average score of 40. And then I run a simple statistics called a t-test and find out that the difference between the two groups was significantly, statistically significant. So that really bodes well for the children in this program. And we do have other, analyses that we're going to do at the end of the year, but this gives you kind of a midterm feeling that we're on the right track. Now, the other two programs I'd like to talk about, this is the numeracy. The numeracy was really close, 40 versus 35, so there wasn't a significant difference statistically in numeracy. And for folks that have taken statistics, you have to be lower than 0.05, meaning you have 5% chance to find these differences by chance. And in this case, we couldn't reject that. These differences could have been due to chance alone. And so this is kind of an advertisement for statistics. And one of the projects that we're doing with the Innovation Zone is having students who struggle with Algebra 2 try a college-level statistics class when they're in high school. We have 2 classes at Kennedy right now, and I think Jefferson probably will develop a class as well. The teachers have to be certified to teach this college-level stats program. And but the nice thing about the Innovation Zone is the state allows us to substitute that for Algebra 2. So the kids taking the Statway class right now just did really poorly in their Algebra 2 and then are doing the Statway. When they go to Normandale, if they choose to go to Normandale, they won't have to take remedial algebra. They can move straight into the second class of Statway and end up being quite knowledgeable about statistics. And for people that are going to go, for students that are going on in science and mathematics, STEM fields, obviously they need to take Algebra 2 and we'll move on. But there are a lot of folks that are taking courses to try to be certified as a medical technical person, as being certified in an area that really requires a basic knowledge of statistics more than it does solving for 3 equations and 3 unknowns. And you know what's in Algebra 2. It's tough. So I'm sure you folks know that folks that have become totally math phobic because they had to take Algebra 2 and said they never want to take a math course again. But I'm betting that those same students who take statistics are going to have a different view. So that's part of the Innovation Zone that we're going to talk about at the end of the year. I'll have data on those students, and if when they go to Normandale, we're going to follow them through their Normandale progress to see how well they do in terms of finishing, getting a certificate or a degree, and then eventually what kind of wages they earn when they get out into the world of work. Sure, I can take a question.
That was very interesting, because maybe the Bloomington Public Schools Statistical Department can offer internships for those students to take the statistics 1 and 2 and then come back and work for us.
Yeah, well, I'm going to retire in 5 years.
You're promoting that.
So we, sure. And I've had great interns from the university. I've enjoyed that more than anything I've done, is having students come and work with me. The other area that we're looking at is English language learners, and what we're doing is what we call a beat the odds study. So my colleague Julio Caesar and I have looked at all the data for the past 3 years on students who were English language learners, and we found the teachers that produced the highest growth in reading and in math. And we've gone in and interviewed and taken videotape of the first teacher from Valley View Middle School, and now we're going to do co-teachers who are at Indian Mounds Elementary. And we'll bring these teachers back to meet you, and we'll have a short video, and then they'll be able to answer your questions about what was it that made their EL students do so well. And so we've never done this with English language learners before, so this could be really insightful. And we're going to do a longer video that could be used for instructional purposes that the EL department will use. So you can look forward to that near the end of this school year, and then following up on those Statway kids for probably a couple more years. So any questions about Innovation Zone or these studies?
David, first of all, thanks for coming. I appreciate
Thanks,
the,
Dave.
sorry. I appreciate the opportunity to learn, to listen and learn. You had mentioned in the beginning that of the applicants for the Innovation Zone,
Yes.
you mentioned something about points, and that Bloomington had,
Yeah.
can you help me understand what the points are?
Yeah, there was 100 points possible on the grant. Usually when you submit a grant, they specify you can get 10 points for having good literature review and analysis of the research, and we got another 15 points for the innovation being truly innovative. It wasn't just typical program improvement. And then you get points for the research design, and then you get points for teachers being involved. We had a huge group of teachers being involved in the development of our things. So we had over 80 of the points that were possible for and so it was very highly recommended to the commissioner that Bloomington get one of these, and so we're fortunate to have it. We have some flexibility with this Statway course, but we weren't able to get any flexibility in funding. So for the early childhood program at Valley View, we were kind of hoping we could use funding in different ways to make sure that kids had access to special ed services early and other kinds of things. We weren't successful in that, but we may go back with the new administration and propose other kinds of exemptions from rule or law if they'll allow us to do it. Great questions. By the way, I found out that Director Bergstrom and I grew up on the same block. We went to Kenny, Anthony, and Washburn in Minneapolis, and we just were different enough ages so we didn't know each other until he came in and told me just last week. So cheer for the orange and blue.
Those statistics classes really work, don't they?
Well,
Yes,
I think they are
that's an affirmative.
a nice option. Not for everybody, but nice option. Other questions?
Director Bennett.
Yeah, I was, your other student comparison or
Yes.
child comparison, some of them from Pond, some of them from early childhood.
Yep.
The ones that say K-12 or K-5 sites in Bloomington, are those Bloomington Public School
Yeah.
children?
So we do have, all of our Title I schools have pre-K programs. So That would be Washburn and Indian Mounds and Valley View, and who am I leaving out? Oak Grove Elementary, Oak Grove Elementary.
Okay.
So they all have sites now too. And we will do evaluation of the whole program, but also what I hold out to teachers and to administrators is if you've got something special going on, that you'd like to see how well it's working, I can do this match sample analysis, just like we did with the preschool. So all they have to do is identify the students, and then I find an identical group of students that didn't get the program. So I'm hoping that as we innovate with different kinds of academic and non-academic areas, that I'll be able to do evaluations for the board.
Yeah, well, this is great results on our program. It says a lot how good our program is. I was wondering, did you do a match sample of just that program versus kids that didn't do any pre-K to see the value of it?
The problem was there weren't enough children to match.
Okay, it was only these 8 kids, is that the only you could find?
So we had a very high percentage of EL and non-English home language, whereas most of the students that didn't report any preschool experience didn't match those characteristics. So they tended, so I was limited. I'd love to be able to do a no treatment group versus Minneapolis, but we'd have to maybe go outside of our district and give our assessment, because most of our students are getting some kind of pre-K.
All right, thank you, great work.
Thank you.
How many students do we have in the Valley View, preschool program?
Well, I took all 47 of the students and was able to match them. So last year in our pre-K program, in the 4-year-old program, we had 47 students.
Okay.
I don't know if it's planning to expand or what the size would be this year.
Okay. And what did you anticipate would be the outcome? When we say 60.47, does that mean 60% of the students?
Yeah, this is
received
actually
literacy?
the average score on the test. And so the average is still below the target for being on track for 3rd grade reading, which is 80.
I guess
So-
my question is, on the chart here, it goes
Yes.
up to 70. Was it 100 points or is it 70 points?
Yeah.
And these students got 60.
Yeah, so the graphics program shows the y-axis. I didn't put it all the way up to 123, which would be the maximum if you got every point on every item. And so far, I've only seen one child that got every point, and he happened to be the guy we videotaped. So when we do training, we've got this kid that's just phenomenal. He's answering all of these questions about the book and going on about science and all sorts of stuff. So he's a really good example. But typically, students get less than 80 points. They're partially proficient if they're less than 80 points. So these kids were at about partial proficient, which they have been in previous years. So I'm hoping to see those numbers increase over time. But the match group was way down at 40, which is not good.
And how long have we had this program going at Valley View?
This is the first year that we have the innovation zone, so.
No, but I mean, how long have they had the early childhood program there?
Can you help me, Superintendent? At least 5 years.
5 years.
5 years, yeah.
Okay.
5 years. Yeah. So, we did provide a lot of descriptive information to all the programs, so they know how well they did. And I also have found cut points for each of the sub-tests to show whether you're on track or not for proficiency, like in phonemic awareness and stuff. So those very detailed descriptive reports are available. This is the first real quasi-experimental analysis.
I have another question. Is the BICA based on the academic standards set by the Minnesota Department of Education?
Yeah, they are. They're just literacy and numeracy, though. whereas there are 6 other areas of standard. So to measure those, we have a different instrument that's called the TS Gold, that our teachers observe children in normal play activities and stuff, and then rate them on that. So this is the first year of TS Gold, so by next year I'll have results on how they did in those other domains. But we took the old Bloomington kindergarten assessment and the Minneapolis beginning of kindergarten assessment, administered them to 3 schools, and then came up with the best items. We kept the best items that predict future reading better than anything else. And
Okay, but those
they do match the
standards,
standards, yep.
they do line with the
Yeah, yeah.
MDE standards.
There are 5 major areas of pre-reading, including phonemic awareness, alphabetic
Yep.
principle, vocabulary, and then oral comprehension is in this assessment as well as, what's the 5th one? I'm blocking on it, but it measures all 5 of those areas, and actually better than most of the other ones that are adopted by the state.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
very
you're welcome.
much. Appreciate the details.
I probably took too much time. I told you about 5 or 10 minutes.
I also think the beacon should be called the Highstead, but that's just my
Well, I'm proud to be associated with it. And it can be improved. So my colleague and I are working on scaling the BICA in the same way the map is scaled. So you could measure progress with it, and we're going to come up with, a user manual so we could publish this and possibly get it accepted as one of the state tests. But right now, we're in the process of doing a number of things. We might even find some better items. I'd like to find some new items for math, but we'll continuously improve it.
Okay.
I know you have another meeting, so thanks
Thank
for
you.
all your time.
Thank you. Thank you. That brings us to our board member reports. Anyone have
I'll just quickly, the school board student advisory council met before this meeting with the junior high, or middle school students, not junior high. And our topic was food service, and we had Connie Murray from food service manager, and Jennifer Hazel of purchasing came and kind of led our kids in a discussion about our new menu items to get their feedback and see which ones they liked and which other ideas that they'd want to bring back or try for next year. And one that was seemed to be very popular was the chicken Alfredo, is what kids are liking. And
I like that.
you like that one? So yeah, there's some menu items that they liked, and it's always a delicate dance that they do in food service. First finding food items that meet the nutritional guidelines, and then find them that are in budget, and then find them that kids are going to like. So it's always difficult to find good menu items to meet all 3 of those criteria. So I give a lot of credit to Connie and her team and Jennifer for all the hard work that they're doing to try to give our kids the best possible meals that they can. And to follow up on Jackson's talking about tomorrow, we got the Jefferson girls hockey team playing. It's they destroyed the Chaska-Chan
Yes.
the other night, and tomorrow's the semifinals.
Where
and
at?
It's at Braemar at 8 p.m. And some of you might know that Bloomington Jefferson girls hockey is our only hockey team. It's a cooperative between Kennedy and Jefferson. So all of your Kennedy friends should come and support our Bloomington hockey team since we are one Bloomington. So wear your Carolina blue and cheer for Jefferson.
There you go. Because it says Jefferson.
But we're one Bloomington, remember?
Yes.
You start talking about the Kennedy game again.
They play Edina?
They play Minnetonka, I think.
Braemar.
They play Minnetonka, but it's
It's
at Braemar at 8
Right,
p.m.
right.
So yeah, my daughter's playing at Eden Prairie at 6:30, so hopefully we're going to be able to make it there in time to watch it. We'll see.
That's dedication.
That's dedication.
Yep. I too was at the middle school Bloomington Student Advisory Council meeting, and we also talked about projecting to the future of what kinds of careers they might be looking at, and they were very surprised to hear that we have the Career and College Academy, and so that was enjoyable. One student actually came up to me later and asked me some questions and would like to know more. So we want them to start thinking about their future and the pathways to graduation as well. I also attended the play Fahrenheit 451 over at Jefferson. It was very creatively done. It was a new twist to a story that I had heard when I was back in elementary school that scared the bejeebits about me, about them burning books.
Yeah, right.
So my hat goes off to Laura and Gabby Schmidt for their directorship, and also our students want to continue to encourage them. They also won an award for this production, and so it showed in the work that they did. And also, I attended, along with Maureen and Dick. They got there before I did because of the snowstorm on Tuesday. But the Bloomington United for Youth gave out awards, an individual student award, a group of students award, and also individual adult award and a group award for those, for an organization that have contributed to working with Bloomington youth. And I don't remember everyone, the names, so if you want to know that, Maureen can share that.
I don't know either.
Just want to also let the board know that on the 21st of February, it is the Area Metro School District's Day at the Capitol. And so if you're interested in going, it's good to RSVP on the website. They'll give you information, and they also will have a gathering first thing in the morning. And I plan to go. If anybody would like to ride with me, they're more than welcome. Thank you.
Anyone else?
I just have a few things, since I think I had 3 meetings canceled because of the weather last week. So I had a chance to attend the signing day at Kennedy High School. I haven't been to one of those for a long time, so that was kind of interesting. It was nice to see that some family members could get there to support their students also. And teammates, there was a large group of teammates that were supporting some of their, some of the students there in the signing, so that was good. Family fun night was bingo at Westwood last week, so that was really a great turnout. And so, fun night for everyone. And then the PTSA Council met last week, and the Curriculum and Instruction Specialist did a presentation on smart strategies that help students learn how to learn. And what I wanted to spend most of my time on, though, is February 21st, the PTSA is sponsoring one of their parent speaker series, and it is Change the Outcome, Combating the Opioid Epidemic through Educational Initiatives for Young People. And it is a panel, and there will be someone from Change the Outcome, a Bloomington police detective, and 2 young adults in recovery. And it is from ages 11 can also attend with their parents and older. And they will have, it says they will have free childcare for children 10 and under if they make a reservation. There's also Spanish and Somali interpreters if they make reservations for that. So I'm hoping that everyone can turn out. Very important topic. I do believe that it is also a program being covered in school right now as part of the curriculum, so they wanted to have this quickly to tie into the curriculum that some of our students are getting. There's a phone number on here, is 952-681-6400. So if they want to make reservations, it also says to reserve by February 19th. So once again, it's the 21st, 7 to 9 in the Oak Grove Auditorium. Thank you.
Had the opportunity to attend Bloomington Future Leaders Winter Conference. The title of the winter conference was Overcoming Obstacles. We had 56 students that came. That was, let's see, today's Monday. That was Friday. It was a chilly morning. And I think there was only 1 student that, for whatever reason, couldn't make it. These students come from Kennedy and Jefferson. It's, let's see, they get there around 8:15, and the bus leaves back to school 12:45, so it's most of the school day. There were maybe a dozen tables. There were 8 students at every table, something like that. 6 students and 2 adults that come from the Bloomington Chamber, and they are also business leaders in this community. So I've had an opportunity to do that for the last 6 or 7 years, and it's just amazing to see the conversations that happen at the table between the students and the adults at the table. It's fun for me to ask why the students came when they got there in the morning. Some of them are honest and say, well, it's just a day away from school. But I also follow up with them before they get on the bus. And it's amazing to hear how their minds have changed and what they've learned from those sessions. Again, there's a fall one I think it's in November, and then this one just happened last Friday. I happened to have the opportunity to have lunch with the kinders over at Washburn. And I sat down and started pestering them with questions, and after I opened up all of their milk cartons for them and read the jokes on the back, I asked one of the little guys sitting on the end, what are you learning? And boy, I needed to be ready for his answer. He told me everything about emperor penguins and the habitat that they live in, and why penguins are at the South Pole and not the North Pole, and what penguins eat, and the long journey the penguins make, and that the fathers sit and watch the young while the mothers go and have to walk miles and miles and miles. And I think I was done eating by the time he was telling me all the things that were happening. So it was an education for me. It was a lot of fun. Also, just want to give a quick shout out. Many thanks to our maintenance crew. For those of you that don't live in Minnesota, it snowed quite a bit yesterday. They did a wonderful job of pushing that snow out of the way, doing what they do best, making sure that our students and our staff are safe. So just wanted to say thank you to our maintenance engineers and everyone that helped make all the campuses safe today. Thank you.
Yeah, just a reminder for an upcoming event. Please remember that the school board, along with the legislative committee for the board, will be hosting the forum with the legislators on February 19 at 6 p.m. So this day we're going to be sharing our legislative platform with our Bloomington legislators, and we'll be hearing from them about their priorities in education and other issues as well.
Thank you. And since Beth put me on the spot, I did look up and see who got the awards from Bloomington United for Youth. The individual adults were Tom Daly and Ann Tillotson. Excuse me. The individual youth was Tommy Panvica from Jefferson and Jeannie Chan, and I believe she goes to Kennedy. The community groups that were recognized were St. Michael's Lutheran Church and the Bloomington Knights of Columbus. And the youth organization recognized was Kennedy High School Student Government. So, thank you for reminding me. Bloomington United for Youth event. Thank you. That brings us to the superintendent.
Great, thank you. Administration requests a motion to establish a board professional development session, in fact, 2 sessions. One on February 25th, the other on March 11th. Both sessions will start at 5:30 p.m., and both topics will be equity education. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Thank you. All in favor of 2 professional development meetings, February 25th and March 11th, both starting at 5:30, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. There you go.
We also need another motion to establish a board retreat on February 27th at 6 p.m. for the purpose of long-range facility planning. The retreat will be held at the Civic Plaza. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor of a meeting on February 27th, 6 p.m. at Civic Plaza, a retreat, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? There you go.
Report, thank you.
Thank you. Any other business to come before the board this evening?
Snow day tomorrow?
It's a joke, it's a joke.
Nice.
This meeting is adjourned.